Okay, so in order for us to see the visibility of these, we need to go ahead and share them on one frame. So for in between 4 and 5, they're both visible on frame 2. We'll bring our time slider up here so that we can see that better. And change our opacity so that we can see what we're doing here. Okay, now we want to do an in-between between the black layers. Okay, and the gray layers. Oops, let's do our arm. There's quite a distance between this black one and this black one, so we'll go right in between there. For the gray, we have, let's see, this is our gray leg here, so we'll do something like that. The gray arms. So gray, see? Gray. Alright, see that here. So let's check that out. Alright, now go ahead and change the opacity back here so that those look fine. Just opacity. Now we need to spread these out. So we're going to come up here first, move this one over a frame, move this one over a frame, and that's just by clicking and dragging. And we're going to move this one over a frame and shorten it back up to one frame. Now we can come in here and put our in-between between here. Now if we scrub through here, oops, we want to make sure our visibility on everything is back to normal. There we go. Take our onion layer off so it's less visually confusing, and just scrub through here. Now he's moving a little bit better through here. Alright, got the beginnings of a walk cycle here. So in order to make this a loop so that he continues to look like he's walking, then we need to hook up the end or the beginning frame of animation with the end frame of animation. Alright, so this is our first frame, this is our second frame, and this is our final frame. So, alright, so we need one more in between, and that is probably the duplicate or the reverse, the opposite of the one that we just created. So let's go ahead over here, excuse me, and we're going to duplicate this layer. Oops, I don't want to duplicate that. I want to create a new layer just like we did before. And then what we're going to do is put that into position. And I'm going to, let's see, this is the new one. So I'm going back to this one that we just created. I'm going to my new layer, and I'm going to do the opposite color for these legs. So what was black is now gray, what was gray is now black. Okay, doing my black first, so when I get my gray over top, it doesn't still drawing black over it. Alright, so we've got our new frame of animation here, and we're going to set that to be visible at the very end, I believe. That's how we need to have that. So now, let's see. Right. I think that's what we needed. Alright, so I have my new keyframe. I'm going to put that into position there. change the time so it's visible in one frame. Make sure that everything is visible in my panel. Onion skin off. Then when I scrub through my animation, you can see that that is going to be a better hookup. Alright, so the next thing is to get our character to bob up and down. Alright, the next thing we want to do is make sure that our character is bobbing up and down while he's walking, because right now he looks pretty, his legs and arms are moving fine, but his body is really stiff. His head's not moving, his body's not moving. So we want to select on our torso and head, and we want to click on the left icon here, just to the left of the image, and right down here we see position. Click on the icon here next to the letters, and you can see that there's a keyframe that has been positioned here. Alright, so with that keyframe position there, that simply means that that is the position that is for this keyframe. So if I move it over here, let's say this is the full extension of the legs, I'm going to move it to the opposite full extension of the legs, and I'm going to set a keyframe there also. So now when I come back here to the in-between for those two keyframes where he's completely upright, I'm going to move with my move tool and my arrow keys on my keyboard. I'm just going to move him up slightly, and you can see that that automatically places another keyframe. So now when I scrub through here, he's bobbing up and down. That brings a lot more life to his body. Alright, so I think that we are ready to see what our loop looks like. Let's go ahead and save our work. And then, when I'm sure that I have everything in place here, then I can go ahead and click on this icon, otherwise I'll be losing my positioning here. The other thing I want to talk briefly about before we move away from this is I wanted to show you the position keyframes here so that you could be familiar. So if you are changing expressions on your characters, or working with characters in parts, such as we did for this particular demo, and we did that for this reason, that many times sprite characters are dealt with in parts. You'll have facial expressions that are overlaid and positioned in code, but you will have an opportunity to work out those pieces, those parts, in your layers in Photoshop. Keep that as a working file, and lay them out in your layer editor so that you can create little animations for them, and actually change up different parts and different characters as well, so that you can change their dress, the way they're dressed, and all kinds of other things, or hairstyles, without having to recreate your sprites every single time. So if you build a library of body parts, arms and legs that go together, as well as torsos, have the different clothing and the different facial expressions and so on in different layers in a working file, then you can get a better, quicker pipeline going, especially when you get in here and you start cleaning up around these edges and actually creating your 2D pixel art over these simple animation dummies that we're creating to work out our animation. You'll want to keep those as versatile as possible, because they do take time to create, as you know, from creating your first assignment there. Alright, so from this point what we're going to do is test out our animation. Then we're going to scale it to the size that we need it for our particular character, and then we're going to work over what's currently here to create the actual pixel art characters that will be our final. Alright, so for the position keyframes, that is the location. You'll find them specific to every layer that you've created in here. You can use the position and opacity in here. Get into this editor deeper than we have for this particular class. And once you have everything set in here, you can go ahead and create the frame animation by clicking on this icon. It will give you that message that says timeline keyframes will be emulated in the frame animation but will not be preserved. Say continue, and that will give you your actual frames so that you can go through your animation. And he's walking really quickly, isn't he? So from that point you can come up here again to web, save for web and devices, and from here you can export your GIF file. I use 32 Tether GIF, I've heard it pronounced both ways. You can import your custom palette if you're working from that for these particular movements, working them out. I don't pay much attention to that. 256, 8 of 8, and we want to, for testing purposes, we want it to continue to loop so that we can see where we need to go back and modify. Alright, so to preview that, you can come in here and see that play out. You can see there's a glitch in our animation that we need to check out. Looks like a duplicate frame, perhaps. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And by central, I ran through that in the last tutorial as well. You can see your guy playing out on a device. The speed will vary. Alright, so, and to save your GIF, you can just go ahead and let's see, where did I have that saved? Save that right in there. So when you come in here, double click on that, you can see your walk cycle. Alright, so let's go ahead and analyze this walk cycle to make sure that it's not a problem with the animation, and then we can continue with the how to go the sizes down and begin your sprite creation over that.